Hello, my name is Hugh Ramus. Here's the stitch. You ready? I tried to film this video about an hour ago. Ate all my food, had a panic attack, had to stop, and just proceeded, I don't even know. My dog was barking, my ferret was making too much noise, my grandma's TV was too loud. It was just a stimulus overload, really, and I couldn't, proceed any further. Anyway, I took a whole shower for this video. I got some yogurt. I was eating ice cream, but we swapped out for some yogurt, and we're back, baby. And so today we're going to talk about the case of the boy in the box, or America's Unknown Child. And basically, this is set in 1957 in Philadelphia. One night in February of 1957, this boy was found, in a box on the side of the road, wrapped in a plaid blanket. Now, the first man who saw him was checking his muskrat traps, but did not report the boy to the police because he was concerned that the police would confiscate his muskrat traps. Second, also have water. The second person to see him did not report the findings of the boy until the day after. And that second person was following a rabbit he had saw go into the bushes, and he knew there was traps, and he wanted to make sure the rabbit was okay. So Peter would be proud, and so am I, really. Just today, I saw this dog, and I tried to figure out where the dog went, where she lived, but she wouldn't let me get near her, and she didn't have a tag, so I couldn't be of any service, unfortunately. I hope she's okay. Anyway, the boy was between 3 and 7 years old, and he had blue eyes and light brown or blonde hair. He was found severely malnourished, and he had severe beatings on his head, which the autopsy reported that was the cause of his death. There was, clippings of his own hair in the box with him. The box belonged to a bassinet that was linked to a JCPenney nearby. When the police went to JCPenney was like, we sold 12 of these, and the police was like, cool, and they found 11. They were able to trace 11 owners of the bassinets to figure out what they did with the boxes. Now, the blanket's a different story because the blanket was mass-produced, and they had no way of knowing. They couldn't track the blanket. It was a mass-produced blanket from Quebec, Canada, and the bassinet, they could never figure out the 12th owner of the bassinet box, unfortunately. The boy was found with baked beans in his stomach, according to his autopsy. He had wrinkly fingers, suggesting he had been in water for some time before his death, and his esophagus had a coating that suggested he vomited before he died. Now, the second man who found him was a college student named Fred, and Fred was cleared of any suspicion. I'm sure he was thankful. The boy was also naked. I forgot to say that. And it's only relevant for later. And it's only a small piece. An FYI, if you will. He had surgical cuts on his ankle and groin area, but also he had an L-shaped scar underneath his chin. And they just thought this was suspicious. The actual investigation began on February 27th of 1957. A group of 270 police academy recruits, there was a fly, sorry, had gone to the crime scene, and they had found a man's blue corduroy cap, a child's scarf, and a man's handkerchief that was white with the letter G on it. They have never been linked to anything. Remember, this is 1957. There's no technology that we have commonplace today. DNA testing is virtually not a thing. Because of his state, the police didn't really believe anyone would be looking for him just because he seemed to be abused for a long time, and his disposal of his body was due to neglect of his caregivers or kidnappers. Just saying. Ew. I swallowed a whole blueberry. This is 1957, remember, and I'm sure their perception of crime is very different from now. Keep that in mind. His fingerprints were taken just for records, and they were eventually added to a technological database that's used today. 400,000 flyers were made with this boy's picture on it. The reason why I mentioned he was naked was because the police had actually clothed him and propped him up like he was sitting and put that picture on the flyer, which I thought was weird. His picture was also included on gas bills. And they used various sketches. They used his actual photo of his dead body. They also used pictures of him smiling, pictures of him with short hair versus long hair because his hair was cut. And it was quite, the strands of it were quite long, so they thought maybe it was longer at a point in time. Let's change this lighting scene. Yeah. I need to start sitting up straight because look at this. It's so much better. But I'm on a couch and I'm just slunched over. Anyway, okay. Back to the case, Matthew. As far as evidence goes, that's really all we got, unfortunately. It's a very short case. It's 63 years old, and that's all we got, really. You know what I mean? The most interesting parts of this is basically the theories and the evidence that surrounds them, because each theory has a lot of evidence. Not a lot. Each theory has substantial evidence to support them. So, but it's also very circumstantial evidence, you know what I mean? The first one is the foster home theory. And basically, in 1960, Remington Bristow It's a motorcycle. Okay. Started investigating this case, and he continued to investigate it until his death in 1993. I need to sit up straight. We just went over this, Matthew. And he basically reached out to a psychic in New Jersey, kind of far away. She had actually suggested that they find a building that matched a description of a foster home 1.5 miles away from the crime scene. And when she was taken to the crime scene, she beelined it for this foster home. She knew exactly where it was. And this is before Google Earth. This is before MapQuest, before the internet, before anything. Maps back then would not have this foster home on it. She would have had to have been familiar with the area, but she was from New Jersey. We don't know her life story. We really don't. She could have grew up there. We don't know. We don't know anything. She could have been a fraud. But she beelined it for this foster home, regardless, that was owned by Catherine and Arthur Nicoletti. Arthur Nicoletti is a suspicious being. We're gonna get into him. Be ready. Strap in. Grab a snack. First, I discovered that the foster home used bassinets similar to the one that was packaged in the box the boy was found in. I don't know how to word that. You know what I mean, though. And they also used blankets very similar to the one the boy was wrapped up in. However, similar to and the same as are not the same thing. And this blanket was mass-produced in Quebec, in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. If you don't know, that's very kind of close-ish to Canada, so we're just saying. Does this information mean much? Yes and no. Yes, because it was nearby. No, because it's like going into people's houses and be like, you have towels. It's like, duh, you have towels. It's just kind of like the same thing. It's like going to everybody and then figuring out all their clothes came from Target. It's like 85% of people have all their clothes from Target. So it's just like, it doesn't mean much. But it means something. We're not going to discourage it. First, I believe that the boy belonged to the stepdaughter of the foster home owner, but there was no evidence to this. And he thought maybe that the foster home owner had discouraged her from keeping it. But here's my thing. The boy was from 3 to 7 years old. And even a 3-year-old, like, why would he be concerned about getting rid of him 3 years later? You know? Unless people were getting suspicious. And he was like, gotta go. He did assume that the boy's death was an accident. There were no solid links to these people at all. However, this is why the foster home owner is a suspicious being. Because in 1998, the police investigated him again. He was now married to his stepdaughter. Weird. You know what I'm saying? Their DNA was taken and wasn't matched to this boy. So, however, they owned a foster home. How did people know this boy was not part of their foster home? Did they search the records? I don't know. They should have. Did they? Somebody figure it out. I guess it was my job to figure it out. Whatever. Then we have the Martha theory. Martha, M. This lady was referred to as Martha, M. One article said Mary, but I'm pretty sure the article just didn't know what they were talking about. But for the sake of this theory, we're going to call her Martha. Martha was a weird being. Martha came out in 2002 and said that her mother had claimed the boy from his parents, had bought him from his birth parents, and named him Jonathan. Or his name was already Jonathan. The boy's name was Jonathan. Either that was his birth name or Martha's mom gave him that name. His name was Jonathan. Martha claimed that the boy was beaten and sexually abused for 2.5 years. There wasn't much mention of Martha's dad. I looked at like 6 articles and only one mentioned a dad, and the dad, according to the article, did participate in this abuse towards the boy. But we're gonna go ahead and say that Martha didn't have a dad, just because 5 out of 6 ain't bad. You know what I mean? And Martha claimed that on the day of his death, the boy was eating baked beans for dinner, and then he threw them up, and so then Martha's mom beat him and slammed his head up against the wall/floor. A couple articles said the floor, a couple articles said the wall, slammed his head against the surface until he was semi-conscious, and then gave him a bath where he died there. Now, the whole baked bean thing and vomiting before he died were not public knowledge. So the police were like, we got it. Like, Martha's doing his stuff, you know what I mean? And then after the boy had died, Martha's mom had cut off all of his hair because he was apparently, like, known for his long hair. That's why hair was found in the box. I don't know if that was public knowledge. I know that, like, the baked beans thing, him vomiting, I don't think that was public knowledge. I'm not sure about the hair in the box. Also, wrinkly fingers from being wet. He was taking a bath. You know what I mean? Martha and her mother were trying to dispose of the boy's body. While they were doing so, they pulled over to the side of the road where they were trying to throw the boy's body to where it was found. And a motorist, had come up and asked them if they needed help. And Martha's mom told her to stand in front of the license plate as Martha's mom convinced him to leave. This is aligning with a testimony from a witness who was a motorist who said that he had saw a boy being dropped into a box that was at the scene, indicating that the box was not really symbolic of anything, it just happened to be there. there. This testimony was not public knowledge either, and so the police were like, Martha's on it. Like, Martha's like got it. Like, Martha knows what she's talking about. However, Martha was discovered to have a history of very severe mental illness. And whenever close friends and family friends were talked to, they all were like, we never saw a boy in the house. Like, we don't know what you're talking about. And the police could also never validate anything that she said. It was just kind of circumstantial evidence, if you will. This goes along with the Frank Bender theory. Frank Bender was a forensic artist, and Frank Bender believed the boy was actually being raised as a girl because of his signature long hair that was found in the box. We're gonna rewind to Miss Martha, because when her friends were asked, they said that they had never seen a boy there. Martha's mom doing some stuff, sexually abusing this boy, raising him as a girl. So when the police were like, this little boy, like, where was he? And they're just like, no little boy was here, because they thought it was a girl. Hello, people. Hello. We're just saying, you know, allegedly, reportedly, don't come for me. I also heard about a theory that someone had known that there was a couple who had sold their child. So, get ready for Matthew's theory. Foster home. They sold their kid. Foster home. Owner. Stepdaughter. Having an affair. Being weird. Have a child. Sell it to Martha's mom. Martha's mom abuses it. Kid's raised as a girl. Then, you know what I'm saying? But all this is thrown out the window because the foster home people were not related to the boy, so just whatever. There's also the Jim Hoffman and Louis Romano theory. They met in Philadelphia, and in 2016, they believed to have found a relative of the boy living in Memphis, Tennessee. What is up with Tennessee? The authorities agreed to investigate it. I couldn't find out their actual, like, evidence or what they had, but the police agreed that what they had was substantial enough to be intrigued, but not enough to gather DNA evidence and run it. However, in December of 2017, the man's DNA was taken, it was run, and there was no connection made. However, what if this DNA is just like, I don't know how DNA works, I'm not a scientist. How do they know it just hasn't like broken down, been mutated, like aged, weird stuff, and it's not just different, you know what I mean? How does DNA work? How does science work? Forensics? How does all that work? It doesn't matter. David Stout was a New York Times reporter, and he believed that the boy's parents were just like living on the outskirts of town, they were poor and overlooked, may have been circus people, and that's why they didn't have papers on the boy, because he was born to poor people who like didn't have anything, so like they wouldn't go to a hospital to have this boy, you know what I mean? And he kind of hypothesized that one of the parents like lost it on the kid and killed him and beat him, and like that's what happened. But there's also like no evidence to support this theory. On March 21st of 2016, the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children did a programmed like computer generated replica of his face and added it to their databases. So, Barbara Ray Venter comes into the picture. If you don't know her, from what I know, she runs DNA at home on her computer, and she has a very well thought out, very strategic way of looking for DNA to find ancestors. And what they do is, it's my understanding, it's my like layman's terms, she takes the DNA, she goes up in the ancestry tree, finds some people matching it, and then climbs down their ancestry tree to get to like relatives. And like that's how she found the Golden State Killer. And basically she had actually found like his grandfather and then his dad, and then narrowed it down to him and his brother, and then the brother agreed to be tested, and he was close enough of a match to be a sibling, but not close enough of a match to be the actual DNA, so they knew it was the brother of him, and that's how they called the Golden State Killer. And in 2018, she has said that she's working with the boy in the box's DNA as well. It's a very short case, there's not much to go off of, it's just very interesting. But yeah, that's the case of the boy in the box, also known as America's Unknown Child. And that's just it, folks. The food I was eating was my yogurt. It's made with Whole Foods yogurt. It's got powdered peanut butter in it, cinnamon, blueberries, kiwis, dates, and maple syrup. Really freaking good, man. Once again, my name is Hugh Ramus, and this has been Cooking Up Crime, episode 4 of The Boy in the Box. Couple things are gonna change. My outro is now gonna be one of my songs. It may change, it may not, it depends on how it goes. Also, feel free to subscribe if you've made it this far, and like this video, or dislike it. You hate my hair, or you hate the background, or you hate the fact that I do this with my hands, you hate that I'm eating, you hate the sounds of me eating, you hate something, you hate the lighting, just let me know. You love it. Also, let me know. I make music, and that can be found on this channel as well. I also vlog sometimes. I haven't had time to vlog, really. Just been doing this whole, like, murder mystery thingy-mabobs, true crime nonsense. I'm gonna be uploading these on Mondays from now, I think, only because Murder Mystery Monday seems to be, like, a really popular topic among the true crime community on YouTube. And I figured people who watch those can just watch all of them at once. They could just, like, watch, like a marathon. Monday Murder Marathon. Anyway, goodbye, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
I want you to forget your past lives and find me the new Christ. I want your heart to melt like ice in the midst of July.